Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this position. White to move and win this. I thought I solved this in 10 seconds or so, but then I realized my solution was wrong. So I had to find something else. Okay, our pawn is going this direction and the black pawn the opposite direction, of course. So, can you now pause the video and find out on your own how white wins this by analyzing the position? And when you return, I will show you the solution. Go ahead. Okay, welcome back. So, we get to light pieces against the rook, one pawn each. Material wise, it's not enough to win. But of course, first glance, look at this rook, and it seems we need to trap it somehow. But it's not that easy. If we try to attack it with a king, well, then it can escape to g1 or even h1 actually and get away. Can put his rook on g7, get closer with his king, and this is no win for us. No, we have to find something else. Okay, now let's look at knight c5. Gets your knight more in position. Can go to different places. It guards the bishop also. But still, there's no straight attack on this pawn. We still have to keep it here to protect our bishop. Again, black would simply play king b8, move up to d6, protect everything. And we are not catching this rook, and we are not winning. So, okay, now to the move that I thought was winning. I thought the correct answer was bishop c2 when I looked at this first. Quick. I was thinking, the rook cannot go to many places here on either line or file. So I thought this would be the option and force him to play rook h1, and then we can continue with bishop e4, attacking here, preparing some sort of discovered check. Even if he gets a check, I could keep on attacking the rook, something like this. But it turns out this is actually not good enough to win. He can move the rook here, and after many different moves, it's still not winning. But either way, this was even quicker for black. I didn't realize that he can just simply take our pawn, even though he's losing his rook. He will simply play e6, and of course, we are forced to take it, otherwise black will move away from the pin. So obviously, we are not winning with just a knight. So that is not the correct move either. So then it gets a little bit tricky. Then I looked at bishop e4. That looks pretty smart. Look at this. Now the rook can really not go to any square at all. If he goes anywhere with his rook, he will be lost. He will lose the rook, and we are still building up for a fantastic discovered check, followed by taking here, and that will win. But again, this is not good enough. Black will again move his king, get away from this discovered check, and even though his rook cannot move anywhere, we cannot attack it. If we try to attack it, we will give him a way to escape. Something like this. Or here, well, then he can just take the pawn. He can try something like this, but then he can escape to b1, etc. So, even though we have this rook nailed here to d1, we cannot do anything about it. We cannot move anything, and we cannot catch it. So that's not correct either. So what is the correct move? I was thinking we should exchange one of our pieces for the rook, and then we're going to win with this pawn. But that is not the strategy at all. Instead, we're just going to sacrifice our pawn. I thought that was our winning weapon, but we're going to sacrifice it right away. And this is just amazing. Now, let's first look what happens if he doesn't take the pawn. Let's say he takes our bishop here. Well, then we take his pawn. And look at this. We're blocking the squares where he can move his rook to stop the pawn. So it's impossible. He's forced to go into a endgame with a queen versus a rook, which is winning for white. It's not easy, but it is winning for sure. And that's not the correct defense for black. Okay, what happens if we just pass the pawn to, let's say, e5? Well, the easiest we can do now is to attack the rook and getting him away from this file. Now we can allow him to walk away. And now this pawn will actually be winning for us. We have many different moves, but something like this, saving this pawn, and then we're gonna attack. I'm just making some randoms move here, something like this, followed by knight e6. We will force the black rook to sacrifice on this pawn. Sooner or later, if we just the rook, I will get two pieces up in the end. And it doesn't matter if he moves his pawn only one step. It's going to be the same variation. It's not helping him at all. We can attack here, but we don't have to attack. We can also play something like knight c5 first. Maybe we shouldn't waste a move on the king. The threat now is to push our pawn two steps. The rook cannot do anything about it. Maybe he can move his king, but we will get our king up here, attacking this pawn. And in the end, this pawn is just too dangerous. The computer says it's pretty easy win for white in the end. Okay, so that's it. Let's also look at what happens, of course, if he takes the pawn. Which is the point of sacrificing it. Now, look at this. All of a sudden, my move, bishop to c2, is working perfectly. Again, the rook is attacked. He cannot go anywhere, as you see. And if he goes to h1, then we start. We continue with this attack with the fork, and we will take the rook, and we will end up with knight and a bishop against the king. This pawn will fall pretty soon, and we are winning again. Not an easy win in the endgame, but still winning. And this is a puzzle, and it's supposed to find the correct position to win. And of course, now he can play rook d5, but with the pawn up here, he could protect his rook. Now it's just in the way, so he will lose his rook straight up here. And again, we will have the delicate job of taking this to a victory with the knight and the bishop in the end. But we have solved the puzzle, we reached a winning position, and that's what we were aiming to do. All right, thank you everybody for watching this video. I hope I see you again. Bye bye.